The season continues to unfold, and we continue to be unhinged. Find out the next level of our depravity on this week's episode of the Indy Ball Report podcast. We're back again, episode 273 of the Indy Ball Report podcast, and this is finally at the point where we get to just talk baseball. No more previews, no news, no nothing except baseball. Isn't that exciting, Ryan?
I'm hyped, dude. Exciting? Yes, you know me. I get cranky when my baseball talk gets interrupted.
Can we start? I know they messed with baseball season. Now I'm pissed.
Start doxing people.
Finding EPA reports.
Digging up the EPA reports. Why did I just get a real degree? I'm willing to pull this work in now. Where was this when I was in college?
Still could go to law school and then you're doing basically the same thing.
I'd rather lay on I-95.
It's all fun and games until someone on an e-bike runs you over.
Thunk, thunk.
Next thing you know, you're on one of those bright lines down in Florida.
And oh, man. I'm glad that you're following the same weird news cycle I am.
Yes.
Man, they will absolutely rock a pedestrian. Anyway.
That pedestrian had to come. Shouldn't have been walking there to begin with.
Frankly, if you don't know how trains work, I don't know what to do for you.
Speaking of train tracks.
And train racks. I have no idea. What are we talking about? Did I nail that?
No.
Oh, man.
I was going to say there's teams named after trains. We could start in that league. Or we could just go right to the Atlantic League as we normally would.
Who's named after a train? Railroads. Oh, my God. I'm okay. Oh, God.
I was going to say, what's Cleveland's team name?
I'm fine. We can start in the American if you'd like. I don't care.
Right. Well, then take lead.
Well,
Get that right in the mail.
Because we haven't even gotten into the rhythm of like recapping weeks and talking about what's going on. So I don't even know where we're going here.
Fargo's the only good team in the association. Let's go there.
Jesus. That's aggressive. I don't think so. Are we going to have to talk about our top 10 ranking? Because you shaded me in a text and I didn't even respond. Which I'm sorry.
I asked a question saying, "Are you on salts?" And that's a fair question.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like I was completely on it with this ranking. I understand there's some hot takes, but there's a lot of good teams. We'll get into the New York point, which I'm just saying, breaking news moments ago.
New York not ranked. Reaction from Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Fire tweet. Don't care. Beating that horse to death. But I did rank them for what it's worth. I put them at 7. If I recall correctly, I believe it was 7.
Sure.
And they would have been higher if they played better teams, but I'm still like,
that's it. Yeah. That's why I left them unranked for another week.
See, here's the thing though, like 11 wins, 3 losses. Oh, cool. They punked Sussex today too. But we're not talking for that league.
And if they keep running up that, then I'll be putting them in the top 10. But we're refocusing. We're on the American.
American.
So you're saying Fargo's the only good team in the American. That's a take.
It's a little bit of a hot take point. Yeah, there's other teams that are good.
Basically a 3-way tie for the top of their own division.
I'm just saying. They're the only team that like has actively been strong so far. Well, ignore tonight's result. I don't believe in Sioux Falls.
Easy to do that.
Yes, it is. My show, I can ignore what I want to ignore. Sioux Falls, I don't believe in them. Kansas City, we said in the beginning the roster is not great off the hop. They're doing better, but again, that is what it is. Cleveland gives me a lot of doubts, and then that just kind of leaves Kane County, which is another team I ranked, which wound up not being ranked.
Yeah. So we definitely had some differing opinions on some stuff. I left Fargo as my 11, I believe. Yeah. For me, it's just not lacking some confidence that Fargo's offense is as high powered as it seems early. I would just like a little more time on the show me thing. Same with New York. Yeah, they kind of fall into the same thing since we already mentioned your feelings on where I rank them. It wasn't anything too deep. It was just that I didn't like Fargo as much as you did on this go round. But
I believe I put Fargo at what, 3?
I think, well, dude, you put them at 3. I put Sioux Falls at 3, and you didn't rank them.
Because I don't like who they played.
Okay. I'm not sure what else to. It's hard because off pod, you recently just said we can only play who you can play in regards to another team. So I'm going to let you off the hook of that a little bit.
I'm just saying they played good teams. They got smacked around.
But we don't really know who Cleburne is. They played Lincoln, who they swept, but we're not really impressed with that right now. They played Sioux Falls, at which, look, they lost 2 out of 3 to. And then they beat Kansas City early year Kansas City. We just said they're just getting together, and then they split. They lost 2 out of 3 to Lincoln. I don't know. It's just not that impressive to me.
See, and I kind of view it the same way when I look at Sioux Falls in the sense of they beat up Lake Country, great team that can't pitch.
But then Lake Country did come back and sweep the Dogs like the same week.
I don't really like Chicago.
I know it's tough to start doing that comparison like that, though. I get it.
Yeah. Kane County wound up beating them up. Now, granted, I view Kane County as a good team here. But that being said, you didn't really rank them, so I don't know how much you value that win. I think that Fargo series was a little bit, it's early in the year. Make a decision on that. It is what it is. Cleburne bullied them outright.
Yeah.
Milwaukee is one where I really don't know what to make of that. Splitting a doubleheader, kind of like, okay.
It's hard to even read into it.
Yeah, and then
I think like your normal rosters playing each other, normal lineups.
Yeah, and then you have a sweep of Gary, which, my move like that. I mean, that's kind of like when the adult races the child. It's like, we know who should win this, right?
Yeah, I get that. That was rough, but I get it.
I'll say I'm more open to possibly putting them in, not this next iteration, but the one after that, once they get Sioux City and Kansas City in there. For
me, it's Sioux Falls offense is their offense. That's expected. It's that in now their first, which I understand this series hadn't happened before I ranked them, but in their first, math is hard. 14 games. They had 6 games allowing 3 or less runs, which is pretty good for them. And now they're up to 9 games allowing 3 or less runs in their first 17.
Subtract Gary games.
I know it's tough. So we're back to 6 out of the original number. So 6 out of
Gary can't hit
14. So it's not bad though, still for a Sioux Falls team. So I think it's also backing what my perception of them and what the projections say, which is if they can at least pitch to an average degree, their offense is enough where they should be very good. And I'm seeing it so far, so I'm giving them the credit for it, and I'm letting it ride. Part of that, too, is I wasn't overly impressed with the middle rung of my top 10, so they just kind of kept bumping up. It was one where I didn't break into it. I was like, I'm going to put Sioux Falls at 3. But then, I don't know, I just kept looking at my 10, and I was like, well, I mean, York wasn't super blowing me away, even though I do like what they've been up to now with 2 over Charleston in a row. Washington, I wasn't going to put them below Washington. Staten Island, I'm still not convinced. Long Island sketch. And then, like you said, KC, the Monarchs are just kind of getting it together. Charleston does not have pitching. So I was like, well, I'm not going to put them. I didn't feel pushed to put them. I could see me dropping them below York. But other than that, I was going to put them above those teams. And I wasn't going to put them above High Point and Gastonia. So 3 ended up, you know what I mean? I wasn't like, woo, excited about this. It was just like, well, they're going 1-1. They ended up there. I don't know. I was as surprised as you.
I'll give you this much, where there's a lot of teams this past week where like I was kind of struggling to fill out the back half of my a
lot of our top 10 had bad weeks. That doesn't help. Yeah. Also doesn't look good for the top 10. But
like here's the thing, like Washington, and I feel like what's be more. I'll actually save this for the Frontier League thing, because I think a lot of your feelings about New York are how I feel about Washington too.
Fair.
So there's that, and then the Long Island point. I get it, but I also am like,
What? What's that point?
Wasn't Long Island sub 500 at this point?
Who are we talking about?
I'm going to get back to the American Association in a minute. I'm just wrapping
Yes,
up the
I'm
poll.
sorry. We're talking about where I rank teams.
Yeah, I just seeing Long Island ranked. I was just like, I don't know if I can co-sign that one.
Yeah, I can defend it. I mean, if I have to. And that's essentially. I
For your
think
freedom. Come on.
Long Island is a top half of the Atlantic League pitching staff, or the top half of the Atlantic League lineup. And I think it's hard to keep a team who can do that out of the top 10. I think they've had a tough schedule. They had a really, keep in mind, they lost those 3 to start to Lancaster before they really had their act together. I'm sorry, they won 3 against Lancaster. Then they had a streak after that where they lost 3 to Staten Island before they kind of had things figured out. But they were rolling a little bit better. So that's just kind of where I land on that. Like, I have them as the league's second best offense, even though they haven't been putting the runs haven't been coming, but like the numbers show that they should be. I do think their pitching's been actually overperforming how good they actually are. So I'm a little curious about that, but I'm also kind of convincible on the, like, maybe they're just that good. Yeah, let me see. When it comes to teams who are in the top 5 on both sides, it's at least how I would stack them up. York is top 5 on both. Lancaster's top 5 on both. And then you could argue Staten Island's right on the fringe on both. And then Long Island, I would say, is right about same range, about fringe on both. And I stack them right basically next to each other. Yeah, I had them 6th and 7th. So that's how you get there. Oh, I love the unimpressed.
I keep it much simpler in the sense of I just don't. I value the overall record more than anything else, and they're just failing to perform in a division that I view as, inferior to the South Division. So when in that context, I'm just like, I don't know if I can rank a team that, racked up some wins against oh no, they lost games to Hagerstown. That's never a good sign.
That's not a good sign, right?
Yeah, it's like you start to get together against. I mean, like you struggle to beat Hagerstown as well. I mean, like a couple of 1-run wins against them, and then getting, I don't want to call it punked. They lost by 4, but you give up 15 runs to Hagerstown.
Yeah, it's
bad luck, buddy. Like they got it together against York, which is honestly, admittedly, kind of surprising. But then Southern Maryland turned into a struggle for them. Staten Island, they got the sweep of, but I mean, that could have just been like a, hey guys, we can't get punked by these guys again. That's a bad scene. And then Lancaster is what Lancaster is at this point. That's a split there. And that pretty much brings us up to date on it, because what we did this on Monday.
Yes.
Yep.
So a lot of this comes back to an issue I'm finding, which is, and I will say I'm possibly channeling my inner you. This is connected to things, and we'll land it for American Association because I think it will relate to what we might be discussing next, even, or something soon. But
eventually we'll get around to it.
Unless I had channeling my inner you, I had 1 and then a second around it, Pioneer League teams with my top 20, And I was thinking why, because you would put Missoula in the top 10 a few times this year. They never actually made the top 10 because I always had them like off. I really barely considered them. There was a couple of weeks there where I did, where they were just ripping teams, but like that's about it. And I'm thinking about it. I've been underwhelmed thus far with the caliber of Indy Ball team this year. There are very few teams where I'm like, damn, yeah, okay. But I think more than other years, I've been impressed by individual performances. I feel like there's more standouts, and I feel like a lot of the guys who are fringe are kind of, I don't calling it maybe, or there's less of them for some reason. But I feel like the back half of these rosters is weaker than it has been. I'm giving it a couple more weeks to play through, and maybe this is where Mexico's starting to cost them. Like the guys who know that they can make some money and hang around the U.S. without an issue. I don't know. Or it's just that they've lost some top end guys. So guys who now the top end is a mix of, the usual
former middle of the pack
top
guys,
end, but also, above average guys now. And then it just kind of shuffles everyone up. Maybe that's what we're seeing. Because I'm really not blown away by many teams. I mean, even Gastonia and High Point, I'm just not as excited about as I have been. I mean, High Point's 18-12 without Lexington in their schedule. They are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That takes away 8 wins. And that does not include the fact that they have now lost once, twice, 3 times to Lexington as well. So, this is a team now that is 10-9, if not for Lexington. It's not, dunking on High Point. It's just like, damn, son.
Kind of dunks on Lexington more than anything there.
Dude, everyone's beating them. Good Lord, it's tough.
I do think the parity point that you're making, though, is more felt in the association, to be quite honest with you. Look at the
slew. And they'll bring us back. Thank you for
yeah. Look at the slew of teams. It's basically 2 giant lag jams at 11 wins and then 8/9, and then you have like the 3 others that are all at the bottom.
Yes, you're right. And which is fun. I was about to tweet about today, and then I got distracted, obviously, because of who I am as a person. But that's fun. It's fun. It's just
it's fun to a certain point. I'd like to start to see some guys start to pull away from the pack here.
I don't know what that is. I don't know why. I agree with you, but as you say it, I also don't know why. I'm like, why?
Because at a certain point, it's like, okay, look. For me, it's a little bit of laziness. I'd like to have a clear-cut narrative, but also just from a practical perspective here, it's like, look. It's really, really hard to get a gauge on who is who when everybody's essentially the same record. Because, yes, you could dive into okay, this team's good because they hit well, but they can't pitch for shit. And this team's good for the opposite. And then this team is just kind of mediocre at both things, so they kind of get through there. It's nice to have a little bit of separation there where it's okay, 1 or 2 teams at the very top fighting for that division. And then I guess in the case of the association, another 2 or maybe 3 teams there that are fighting for those last couple playoff spots. That's a lot more fun. And it's a lot more fun later on when there's an actual playoff race. But when we're still getting out of the gate, and now I guess we're a little bit more than out of the gate. We were 20 games in at this point, give or take?
Yeah, about 20.
Yeah, so we're about 20 out. We're a fifth of the way through the year. Now we should start, once we get this quarter part and the third of the way mark, that's kind of where it's okay, guys, we got to start to figure out who's real, who's not real, right? And it's great for competition in one sense because it keeps your interest a little bit more, but there's also not really a rooting interest, right? Unless you have your team, or do we really want to see what's going to basically come down to 5 or 6 teams that are really good, 4 teams that are pretty mid, and we're essentially chalking them up to done early in round 1 and wasting our time, and then 2 teams that are just going to get absolutely body bagged for 100 games until their season mercifully comes to an end.
Right.
That's not really fun or entertaining. It's give me a couple close races, but at the end of the day, we got to start to figure out where's that race going to be and where is it going to wind up just being kind of a cluster.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm just doing the math here. Having, what is it? A 1.5 games separating 1 through 6. From 1 to 6, it's 1.5 games separating them in the American Association right now. Yeah. Isn't ideal. It's about 3 games between 7th to 12th. All in all, it's 5 games from the bottom to the top. Yeah. Essentially, right? 6 games from the bottom to the top. So,
if you depending how you're looking at it, the separation between Gary and Sioux Falls / Fargo is 7 games technically, but that's more on account of games played.
Sure, yeah. So that's it's exciting, but my problem is and maybe this is kind of what you're saying, is And this is where I take issue with the American Association's playoff situation,
Yeah.
which is 8 teams making out 12. It's too much, my guy. It's too many.
I get why they do it. I do, because like, let's choose your own thing. I think it'll be really fun.
Fun, agreed.
In the Frontier League.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Because there's more teams and there's more separation between them all, and there's a genuine argument we made from like the practical, like, do we really want to ship a whole team from like Western PA out to the St. Louis region? I don't know. And then like in the East, it's like, look, maybe if you're in New York, like, yeah, picking Sussex may be better for like attendance and rivalry's sake, but taking like, I don't know, Ottawa is a little bit easier of a draw. So maybe you go that route and just hope that you can sell tickets easier. You know, like it creates a little bit more of a discussion point than when it's like, okay, there's going to be one clearly inferior playoff team that we're going to take. And then on the flip, just kind of like, all right, you two deal with it. The association would be better served with just 3 playoff teams, a 1-game or 3-game wild card set between the 2 and the 3, and then just having them flip up and play a best of 3 or best of 5 against the top seed.
Yeah, and I mean, if I were to design it myself, I would really go with give it the division winners, and then like the next 4 wildcard teams, like regardless of division. That would be
yes, that could work.
Because what I'm looking at here, and look, this is way too early for this conversation. We should be talking about on the field stuff, but it is the American Association playoff system does kind of drive me nuts, and I feel like it's going to drive us nuts all year. So might as well rip this off like a Band-Aid. Yeah. I'm looking at it now. The problem with the 4 is that it basically means someone, just by nature of the fact that it's a 6-team division with 4 teams making it, someone literally below average is going to get in, at least one team. Yeah. And then you have a weird setup, like if it was only 3 teams making it out of the East, you got 4 teams within a game of each other at the top. But then, I'm sorry, like the Lake Country to Chicago thing is less intrigue for me. I think it kind of shoots our other point a bit, but there are kind of teams that I feel comfortable defining them as probably not making the move. I think Lake Country is going to have a hard time keeping the pace this year. Yeah. I think they're improved, but I think it's going to be tough. I think Chicago could be prone to a meltdown, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
Then
plus recruiting players into there could turn to a problem as we start to get into the year.
So the issue I think that the East is going to face is they could very likely have their playoff situation pretty locked up early if things don't get interesting. And then, if something doesn't happen, and the West might have a good playoff race for that last spot. It's going to be between very likely 3 under 500 teams with Winnipeg, Sioux City, and Lincoln. It's like, is that what we wanted? I don't think so. So that's where it gets me. But if we were to present the alternate theory here, it would be Sioux Falls and Cleburne winning divisions, and then it would be Kane County, Fargo, Kansas City, and Milwaukee, but with Chicago
right on their tail,
right within a half game. And then, I mean,
like Winnipeg, not that far back.
And then we have a little more of a conversation because also, I would even, I don't know. We're too. We should be talking about the playoffs.
If we are, I just want to throw one thing out here because I think I mentioned it last year, but I want to always take my opportunity to throw it back out. If we're willing to just do playoff systems that are just kind of way out there, and this is kind of out there. I mean, I think only one other major professional minor league does it, being the SPHL, if I'm not mistaken. But bringing them back from last week, but. The playoff system that I'd be very interested in is like a winning percentage cutoff line. So more like a golf cut.
It's flexible. Yeah.
Exactly. Where
there's a playoff system you can make for any number of teams getting in. It's not that hard.
Exactly. And that's the thing where if you want a larger playoff system so that way more teams have the opportunity for playoff revenue, because realistically your series are going to be fairly short, you can either do it so that way it's like, okay, we're going to say like you have to be above a 550 winning percentage. Mm-hmm. And then anyone above that, which right now would be in descending order, Sioux Falls, Fargo, Moorhead, Kansas City, Cleburne, Kane County, and then Milwaukee would get the last spot there. you could either do just straight up matchups, or if you really want to go full chaos, which I don't think they would want to because it becomes a logistic nightmare, but do it almost in like a ladder match. And I think
love ladder. I know it won't take off, but KBO does. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think the PBL does, the Professional Bowler League, or PBA rather, Professional Bowler Association does something similar to that, where it's like there's at least a partial ladder, and I think that could be really, really fun. Where like maybe let's say either if you're a division winner or you are either a certain percentage point above that cut line, or you are the top team. In the case of maybe it being a weird way for actual bracket matchups to go, you get to avoid a certain amount there. But even still, just straight ladder match where it'd be like, okay, if you are the last two teams in, which in this case would be Milwaukee and Kane County, you play in the first round. Winner then plays Cleburne. Winner of that then plays Kansas City. Winner of that then plays Fargo. Winner of that then plays Sioux Falls. And then it becomes a very interesting discussion. Like, is all that layoff time, because it'd be a minimum in that case, to say like 6-7 days, probably closer to 10 days. Is that layoff time worse for you? Or does it suck more to have to play that many games in that short time, traveling that often?
Right. And we'll wrap this conversation here, but I would say too, the big argument I see. Okay, no, I'm going to detour for a second again. I'm so sorry. Sorry, listening. The big issues I could see are, well, you don't have, it's hard to sell tickets when you don't know what the playoff schedule is from the season. So when the season starts, they know the playoff schedule.
Yeah.
When you don't know how many teams are in, that creates some difficulty, but I would push back and say most teams don't know that they can start selling tickets to certain dates until basically 2 days before the season ends anyway. And you could still have a first half and second half where you win the first half, then you're in the playoffs, you can sell tickets maybe. But I would say, because I've trashed the first half plenty, or the 2-half system play, I'm a believer in a 2-half system. It rewards not doing what Lancaster does and bringing your best team to opening day, where, and frankly, it gives a little bit of a something to a team that might try their best and then lose guys, especially in Indy Ball, lose them to, contract purchases. And it does give you a little bit of a, hey, we appreciate that you went that route. If I would say, if you win the first half, you should get maybe a guaranteed playoff berth locked up.
Okay.
And then, but records should not reset. I think it's crazy. Because then that is where you start to get like the York from last year, where they had the best record in the North Division. They didn't get in, and which just happened countless times in every 2-half system. That's just how you quickly can curb that, and you don't need to deal with it anymore. To my actual point on this, you might be thinking, well, what if like you get a weird number of teams in? Bro, there's so many. As long as you sit down in advance and say, all right, if 2 teams make it, they play a head-to-head series, it's 5 games. If 3 teams make it, here's how we start. And so everyone knows, because here's the interesting scenario you can get into. I've done something similar to this in like a weird intramural league I was in once before.
Okay.
And the playoff structure agreed upon was 5 teams get in. Fascinating choice. Yeah. But the first 4, the bottom 4 out of the 5 go into a double elimination tournament. Mm-hmm. The 5th team waits, or the 5th team as in the top team, the number 1 team, they earn the right, they skip basically to the championship. They play the winner of the double elimination. However, if that double elimination team has not lost a game yet, they have to beat them. It's basically a straight best of 3. Okay. If that team has already lost in the double elimination, then they only got to beat them once before they lose twice. And honestly, it was like one of the best dumb, like little, like no one cares about seeding and intramural. What are we talking about? Dude, the investment was 100% there. We were like, yo, like I want that deal. So it works as long as everybody agrees on it in advance of what the different scenarios look like. I don't know. Let's take a minute here to actually talk American Association before we move on, and we can talk about that. What we were talking about, sort of doing as our little gimmick for the episode. Whenever, if you want to do league by league, or if you want to do it at the end, that's up to you. But we've been talking. So how about this? We'll do it this way. We're not going to be able to focus on every team every episode, so we'll just cycle through. So if we don't talk about your team, don't worry about it. We did talk. For everybody disappointed that they didn't hear about their team in the American Association, there is somebody who is so into the in-depth stupid playoff conversation we just had. They're like going like full Pepe Sylvia, like with their whiteboard of what playoff scenarios could be. So shout out to you. Also, you doing all right? You good? All right. Anyway,
They're not doing well if they're listening to this
let's
show.
go to the main
Please,
topic
don't
here.
insult them like that.
What do you like about Fargo? And I'll tell you what I like about Sioux Falls right now.
Overall, when it comes to Fargo, I like their pitching a lot. When you look at their starters, Davis, phenomenal.
Mhm.
I like Rauer a lot. I think he's a younger pitcher that really has something going for him. Davis Feldman is a reliable starter there. I will admit, Rodriguez and Hess could be better, but honestly, a 5 ERA as my number 4 is not scaring me in the American Association. And Rodriguez, I view his job as don't make life hard for the next game. That's
fair.
your job. Now, granted, only 14 innings pitched so far, so we're going to have to do a little bit more work on that front. But, he can get it done enough. Judging off because I haven't watched too much of Fargo so far, it would appear as though a little bit of, like I haven't watched really anybody so far. There's still hockey playoffs going on here. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not getting locked in until that's wrapped up. And hopefully won't be wrapped up till the end of June. So regardless, back to the main point here, a little bit of control problems. Looks like when you have 10 earned runs in 14 innings and 12 walks but 20 Ks, it tells me you have good stuff, but you don't really control that well. There is just like kind of a walk from across the staff, though, so we'll deal with that when we deal with that. But I do generally like that starting pitching, and that is something I always will value a lot of. Batting-wise, there's really 4 guys in there that are doing a lot of that heavy lifting: Fernandez, Alcantara, Brookshaw, and Thomas. But even still, 4 guys can do a lot of good. Evan Alexander's providing some power. Dakota Phillips is providing some power. Sure, the batting average isn't great, which kills me personally. But in the case of Alexander, at least he's getting on base. Only 15 hits, but 13 walks. So that's pretty solid there. So there is about 4 or 5 reliable bats in this lineup. And if the rest of them can just contribute and they drive in runs, that's the critical point too. I think it can become a complete unit. I have belief in the guys that aren't performing right now to turn it around. Would I like to see them get maybe like one more bat, particularly say an outfielder, maybe from outside of this league? That would be pretty cool. But as it stands now, I'm pretty happy with it. And it doesn't look like they've gotten to really any sort of depth yet in that regard. So they're still doing well with just the starters. So I'll be curious to see how they continue to do, but that's generally what I like. I think the top end talent batting wise is performing well, and I like the starting pitching an awful lot.
All right. I went, what I like with Sioux Falls is essentially there's a good consistency across the board. There's kind of a lack of top performers right now, at least over the last week or so, but Ty Culbreth, just been gross this year. And when you look at the rotation, it's got to start there because it's so hard to get pitching depth to Sioux Falls. But Tanner Brown, Ryan Zimmerman, Seth Miller all have been covering at least 5 innings per start. That's a big help. Not having big blow-up outings. Awesome. They also have ERAs between 4 and 6. Okay, that's fine. We can deal with that with the Sioux Falls offense. Once you start trending worse than that, that's when you have an issue. And there are a couple guys in that bullpen who I still think aren't permanent guys. I think they're more placeholder types right now. But they do have some guys who are dealing right now, Matt Dunaway, Zach Bean. So they have a base. Christian Johnson, by the way, he's also been pitching well. But they have a basis, and I think that's already putting them ahead of where they've been. And I think that they can work with that. Offensively, I've actually kind of been underimpressed by them so far. Mike Hart is a psycho. That's fine. But
he always is.
Yeah, right. Obvious. But while there is really nobody in, that's not true. I mean, Jabari Henry and Spencer Saringer, that's a thing.
I mean, Jabari at this point, I think it's just a power bat, which honestly, for what he is, he's great. Yeah.
That'll
White
work.
Ulrich underperforming, he's not going to keep up too. I mean, he's going to turn it around. He always does.
Right. Which means you have a lineup of 9 guys, and the only person with a OPS under 730, 740-ish is Wyatt Ulrich. So that's the number one thing with Sioux Falls is they're at least bringing. It used to be that Sioux Falls would hang with you for a little bit and then they get just exposed. Either the offense would just freeze up because they went on the road and they couldn't hang, or they would pitch okay and then they'd be like, and here's our third reliever, and it's just someone they found outside the stadium that day. And that was the end of that. This one feels more like, hey, we're not bringing in the top guys, but we have an awareness of guys who can at least keeping crooked numbers off the board. And I think they're doing a good job with it right now. And that's why I like them. As long as the pitching can do that, I think the offense can hold up. You have 9 guys who can bang in the lineup. They're not all going off at the same time, but they're also not all melting down. There's no easy outs right now, and that's huge.
Yeah. I will say one thing, though, and it's a little unrelated, but it's kind of related to the Kai Tolber's point.
Yeah.
And that is, we have to just show some appreciation right now for Travis Seabrook, who is averaging a strikeout an inning. He's only allowed 1 earned run, only walked 6 in 16 innings. That is damn impressive. And honestly, looking more and more, Winnipeg may have the best 1, 2, 3 starters in the league, which is really a testament to them. And I think, again, I'll get right back to Sioux Falls in 1 second here. I just do want to point out, honestly, the best rotation in the league, maybe in Indy Ball, to be honest.
I mean, Winnipeg's I would say
really
it's the best pitching staff. They're the best pitching staff in the league, probably.
Yeah, because I feel like
almost certainly, yeah.
Yeah, like Yakel, I think will turn it around. I know Tanner Strobel has more in him. He'll turn that around. And if that's the case, the rest of them, if you can get to Strobel and then really Yakel or Townsend to turn that around, my God, 4 really strong, reliable arms in the bullpen with 5 tremendous starters. I mean, that's a team that, quite frankly, can afford to deal some pitching if they wanted to. Not saying they should, but if they wanted to, they could afford to deal that to try and now fill the Adam Hall-sized hole in their lineup. Because Dazen Cruz, for being a second-year player, is doing a damn good job of getting on base.
Yeah.
And then there is a drop-off there. But if they could just get, like, 1 quality bat in this lineup, one, maybe not necessarily a home run bat. I mean, Max Murphy kind of fills that role right now. So maybe just, like, kind of a combo bat, if that makes sense. A guy that could hit a little bit of pop, but really is going to hit for average and get on base a little bit better. They get one more guy like that to be a regular in this lineup. I think this Winnipeg team could really turn it around and become dangerous very quickly. But
I can follow you there.
Just finish. I just wanted to get Winnipeg in there real quick, and then I'll go back to Sioux Falls. But
I feel you. I think you're not wrong on the Max Murphy take at all. As well, I just think I don't know what to make of him necessarily this year because I mean, Jesus Christ, he's below the Mendoza line, but
yeah.
You have to figure he's going to get it together. He's still giving you about a home run a week. You'll take that. It's an interesting one to keep an eye on, but he also, I feel like Max has been playing a lot of baseball. Like, you got to be tiring out, right? I don't know. Maybe that's
I can see that. I definitely could see that.
Joe Matalovich, by the way, didn't even mention, but he flirted with a no-no this past week. So he's a dog.
Yeah, you ruined that for him.
Sorry. Or that was, I guess, was that last week?
It was. We mentioned on the show. But,
boy, no concept of time. Anyway.
Time's not real. Don't worry about it.
Go. There was one thing you reminded me of on that one. I might not remember it. So I guess we will just move on. Nope, I do remember it. It was going over this way. All right. I also think the thing to watch with Winnipeg is, they're in a playoff spot right now. I think Sioux City is going to have to do a lot to catch up with them. We'll see what Sioux City does against Sioux Falls this week. That's going to be interesting this weekend, rather. We're going to learn a lot about both those teams. But the weak point for Winnipeg is going to be, I don't see the 3 above them faltering much. If you're a 4 or 5 in the East, if you're Lake Country Milwaukee, I'm looking up and you got King County, ? Chicago, ? And Cleburne, who just, I still cannot shake watching them score 2 runs in 5 games right now. It's still a little too fresh. So for now, I'm putting a big, what is going on with Cleburne? They seem to be good, but like they are prone to a collapse. So let's see how long they can go between those collapses. So that's a more interesting situation. The West has maybe a little more desperation to keep in that 4 spot because I'm not sure it's going to be an easy battle to move up there.
Counterpoint, though, I think there's a trade to be made with like Country, let's say.
Yeah.
What a guy like say, and I'm just throwing out a couple names. I'm just looking at very quickly, so maybe I'm way off basis here. But
I swear if you say it.
Is it I think it's Connell.
Who are we talking about?
I'm looking at the Lake Country lineup here.
Oh,
I'm trying to find something for Winnipeg. Yes.
Oh.
What name do you think I was going to say?
Oh, my first thought was Cole Cottom. I was like, what are we talking about?
I mean, the problem is trading between different leagues there. I'm just trying to keep it in-house right now. Keep it clean. Yeah. But see, here's the one problem I have with trading for Cole Cottom is their catcher.
I wasn't insinuating that. I thought that's what you're trying to say.
No. I wasn't going that way. And I really don't want to see them trade for a catcher because Emery's producing right now. He's probably their second best bat. So it kind of seems a little redundant to do that.
No, I agree.
Catcher offense is. Yeah. I know since you were. I'm just saying. But okay. I'm just saying, like, catcher offense always kind of is like a plus to me. So when you already have that, to go out and get a catcher that's hitting just kind of seems a little unnecessary.
Yeah, okay.
I look at Connell just because I feel like the outfield could use some help there. And he's an outfielder, so that helps out a lot. He has a little bit of power, but he really can stretch base hits into doubles or triples. He has 2 triples on the year so far, 5 doubles. His 18 hits, so that's a solid sign there. I would say Hernandez could be interesting too, but I'm just not sure that's the kind of guy that they want to give up. And then I look through everybody else, and either I don't think they'd be, on the block to be moved, and not to say any of these guys are, but I don't think they would really be open to moving them, or it's just not the kind of guy you need right now. And Lake Country always is kind of a natural fit because tough place to pitch, A, and B, they're going to have some decent bats in there. And I just look at their starting pitching and no one's really stepping up here. Sharp, kind of. But that's really the only guy right now. So if you traded a guy like Eastman for a guy like Connell, that could be mutually beneficial.
I follow.
Yeah, that's just a rough proposal here. I think you probably could work on a more fair deal. But outfield does seem to be the one spot where Lake Country would be willing to move some depth from.
Yeah, I could see it. I don't disagree with that assessment at all. Yeah. I got one last American Association point. We've really gone through American today. Holy crap. You do benefit if you go first, huh? So, all right, who are we more worried about at this point? What, about 5th of the way through the season, maybe? Max Murphy or Josh Altman?
Probably Max.
Max,
but I'll put the caveat on. I need to see a nice 2 weeks out of Josh because he's in a hitter's park. That being said, without having Lake Country schedule right in front of me, I don't know how much he's been playing in that park.
Yeah.
6-game homestand to start the year, and then another 4. 10 of your 19 games isn't great.
I know, but
it's more than 10. It's more like 13. Okay, that's not good, boys. Now you got me thinking about this.
I'm going to throw another one at you too.
Yeah,
Max Murphy is currently striking out a 40% clip.
Okay.
That's for per plate appearance. 40% of his plate appearances have been a strikeout.
That's not good.
That's wild. He's usually around 20%.
Yeah, I'm going to go Murphy then. The strikeout thing isn't as bad here. And Altman's really turning into a little bit of a power hitter at the shortstop position.
Interesting, right? That did catch me as well.
Yeah, normally he sort of hit like that. You get tossed over to third base. But I mean, then again, he can be a shortstop if he wants to be a shortstop.
And how about this one? I'll throw a stat out there too.
Yeah.
Max Murphy is hitting. The positive we'll give you is over the last week, Max Murphy's hitting 318. The negative is he's got a 400 BABIP during that time, which is like unusual. So he's getting the breaks right now. Josh, he's also got he's hitting 333 on balls in play. So not spectacular, but he is hitting 240 at least this week. So I don't know. Mixed results. How many times has Max Murphy struck out this week? How about that? We'll go with that. And then maybe we'll call it a day on the American.
Yeah, right. Josh struck out 7 of 28.
Where are we at here? Max struck out 6 of 22. Well, that's nothing. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what to do with that.
Here's the reason why I would probably go Murphy over Altman as my final point on this. Altman, I think, can still turn around and be an effective, all around kind of combo bat. So him not hitting well right now as an average hitter, he's still doing something as a power hitter, and I have enough faith in him to turn that around.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy's doing well at what he does, which is a power bat.
Right.
And he's not doing well at what he doesn't do well at, but he's not doing well at it in an unusual way. If that makes sense. The thing he's bad at, he's really bad at right now. And he's not necessarily like over the moon impressive at the thing he's good at to kind of like level it out.
That's a good point. All right. As we were.
Yeah.
Finally done the American.
Yep. Yeah, this could shape bad. That also, I will legitimately last point. That batting average has been trending down.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's related to the leg because we're over a year removed from the leg now. And he still had 22 doubles last year and nearly 100 games played. So you're getting almost a double every 5 games, a double a week, essentially. The leg's fine. That said, though, it did decrease. And he at least, while he struck out 100 times once a game last year, he's a third of the way to that total through 18 games. He drew 42 walks last year. He's only drawn 3 so far. So if we want to kind of multiply that out, we're going to call it a fifth of the way through the year. So times it by 5, he's on pace for 15 walks. That's not good. I mean, if you're not going to hit for walks. Yeah, like you have no other way to get on base then. If you're not going to hit for average, if you're going to be Adam Dunn, like fine, but I need 30 home runs. Yeah, I need 30
John Boyce video.
Yeah. I need 30 home runs out of you. And if you're not going to give me 30 home runs, which again, I'm paced for more like 20, it starts to get a little bit more sketchy. And not to say 20 is bad. It's not. But I just need a little bit more.
Yes.
So
now that we've successfully talked about like 2 or 3 teams in the American Association for an hour.
Yep.
What were we talking about? Atlantic League next?
Yeah, I might as well go to Atlantic next.
Okay, and then we'll revisit for a quick run through. We'll do it as like a lightning round on the Mid Cup. All right, Atlantic League.
Is this more of a? I feel like out of everybody, it's the most have not league.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's just because they played the most games at everyone, and by a good margin.
I'll counterpoint you here. I think that's also because if we look at it, there's 2 real have-nots right now, which is Hagerstown and Lexington. There's 2 real haves right now in my mind. You could argue 3 if you extend a high point, but Gastonia and York.
Yeah.
The middle group, though, has teams that we would typically think of as the haves, which makes it seem like there's a lot more of a divide. Because we would kind of think of the back-to-back defending champs as haves, Long Island as haves now, but they're both below 500. Charleston, we think of them as haves because they're above 500. They're in the race, but their pitching is a mess, and they are now 3-11 in the last 14. So it's a weird mix. Like they could be described as both a have and a have not. So I don't know. It's just a weird league. Weird league, man.
Yeah. Like here's the thing that kind of gets me. And this is the kind of conversation I want to start now because we're a quarter of the way through the Atlantic League season and halfway to the end of the first half. Long Island's kind of concerning me. And here's why.
Okay.
Their first half is normally where they excel, at least as of recent, because they have their ringers in early on, and then normally in May and June they lose them all, and then it's hard to fill in those gaps come July and August, but they find a couple of guys, but that's about it. The fact they're still under 500 at this point is a little more concerning to me. Like Hagerstown, I think was last week, or not Hagerstown, Lancaster. Last week, I said, I don't really care what they do in the first half. They're a second half team. I'll be concerned if they're doing this in 3 months. Long Island's concerning me because they're a first half team and they're not producing right now. And I grant you they're 4 games out with a month plus left to play. I guess about a month by the time this comes out. So you could easily game a week. You're right there. So it's not like it's that crazy to overcome it, but I just think it's really hard to start leapfrogging teams. and start playing that game here. And I'd have to look at their schedule, really go in depth on it, but how much easier does their schedule get, right? And I feel like dropping those games early on to Hagerstown is the kind of thing that can really bite you in the ass as it comes down the stretch.
Yeah, I 100% agree there. And I do agree it's a little concerning to see them sort of struggling where their strength typically is. My counter would be, I mean, let's remember it is a new person running the show over there. Their baseball operations is sort of underneath a different umbrella now. Well, very much so underneath a different umbrella now. So the strategy might just be totally different as well. If it was the strategy of like, we go hard in the first half and then we sit back and they were getting murked by some teams in the first half, I'd be like, uh-oh. This one will give a little more leeway because we're not really sure what their angle tends to be, like, specifically with the people in place now. That said, my number one red flag with any team right now is a lack of pitching. And it's just because I think it is far more likely that you can increase your hitting throughout the year than your pitching. Because to increase pitching, you need to either get good pitching off another Indy Ball team, which good luck. Find a free agent who's good but somehow not already signed. Good luck. You need to find somebody let go of the out of Mexico or affiliated ball, but they're still good enough to improve your team. Good luck. So it's really thin. There's only a few guys who actually will notably improve a staff. It is much easier to find guys who can hit the ball. And I think, I mean, by my measure, I got Lyon as like the second best offense. I'm just concerned because I do think they're maybe the third worst pitching staff in the league right now. It's close. They're closer to middle than bottom on that, but it's something to note. And that's where I start to worry. I'm like, yeah, I think they'll improve as the year goes. I think their offense, so I have them as the second best offense statistically, but they're also scoring the fourth most runs. So it's like one of those things where I think they are better than some of the numbers are showing. It's just a weird stretch. But I don't necessarily, I think they're pitching, which is, I have them as third worst statistically, but they're technically fifth best when it comes to runs allowed. I think they're overachieving. And I think it's when that starts to hit bottom for them, when like they revert to the mean or regress to the mean, I think that's going to be harder to improve than anything else. And that's what worries me on Long Island, especially because York's serious. York is a legit.
That's the thing I was about to say. Yeah.
And Staten Island is not the easy win anymore. I do think in the end, I think Long Island might be above Staten Island at the end of the season, but I think they're not like going to Staten Island taking 2 or 3 consistently the way they were.
You're not going to punch that Ferry Hawks team anymore.
No, not anymore.
And the thing that's getting me now is I'm looking at the rest of their first half. There's like 9 games where I'd say you should come away with a win. That's a couple series against Hagerstown and one against Lancaster. Everything else is going to be tough. Like by the time this comes out, we'll be on the second game of the York series. That means there's a very real chance that they could be riding a 5-game losing streak into that game. It's not a crazy point. That said, after that, they go to High Point, and I think that's going to be a series where we find out who High Point is and who Long Island is. I feel like that's really a figure-it-out series. If one side, clearly is better than the other, they get Gastonia right back in the saddle, and then they get to go back home to get York for 3. Then they get to go down to Hagerstown, play them for 3. Now I'll give you, they have a long homestand here where it's Staten Island to Hagerstown. That could be the stretch there where they go to make their move, and it may have to be that stretch. Because then it's back to York, Lancaster for 3, Charleston for 3 to end the first half, which, depending on if they remain depleted pitching-wise or not, could become a real problem for them. And depending on how that Lancaster series goes and the York series, well, less the York series, more the Lancaster series goes as far as arms that get used, Charleston can run up a score on you. They'll give up runs, but they can really run it up on you.
They can score it a little bit, yeah. They have moments. They'll score 1 run in 2 games, and they'll score 8. So it's a bit much.
Yeah. So if they jump you on, say, game 1 and a little bit of game 2, and you just got to start going through arms, all of a sudden that last July 4th game where you have to, could be make or break for winning your division and getting that playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, now you could be down to like 2 or 3 usable arms in that bullpen. and really hoping that you have a good day on the mound and you catch the lull on the Charleston bat.
Yeah.
Like, this is not exactly easy, and it kind of adds to my concern a bit. And I wonder if they're going to be able to outlast some teams here. Like, Staten Island's crashed down to earth, and it's concerning me. They're 3 for 7 in their last 10. But even still, they're only 2 back at York, so they're doing fine enough. But York, you made a point with York. They're a legitimate contender, and I don't think they're really going to be giving up anything here.
Because, it's been a while. This is not like, is York for real? York was the best team in the division last year. They just got screwed on timing. Yeah. Going back to 2022, York was not as good, but like this is under Rick Forney, they have been significantly better. Like they have practically won the division last year, and they're winning the division now. I wouldn't call it, I wouldn't bet on them slowing down.
Yeah. It's just when you look at the North there, if you're Long Island, I think it's really going to start to be when you get that home stretch against Staten Island and Hagerstown, you really are going to need, if I'm being entirely honest, 5 of 6.
Oof.
I really think that's the case.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree at least.
Yeah, like I just don't think you're going to get many against York. I don't think you're going to get many against Hagerstown. Maybe my opinion changes if that High Point series swings their way and they get 2 of 3 there. I think that gives you a little bit more cushion to be able to say, all right, if we get 4 of 6, we're not bad. But I really think they're going to need that 5 of 6, especially because every game you lose to Staten Island puts you behind the 8 ball further.
Okay.
Like if you figure like this, let's say they sweep Hagerstown. That doesn't really matter either way because Hagerstown's not going to be involved in this race for this half. You drop 2 to Staten Island.
It matters in the way of the teams you're competing with are sweeping Hagerstown.
Fair. I'm just talking more head to head right now. You drop 2 to the Ferry Hawks. Sure, you win 1, but you lose a game of ground. So you really need that 5 of 6 just so you don't lose ground there.
Oh, yes, you're right. It sounds, as I was saying, you kind of need 5 of 6. It's always like, whoa, but no, you are correct. I feel you.
Yeah. If it was Lancaster at Hagerstown, then it'd be a different story. But it's just a tough one there. And I'm concerned for the second half for them. And I know that's a long ways away. That's a month plus away from them to even start. But you figure York or Staten Island's going to be fighting like hell for that other playoff spot. The other one's not going away. They're probably not going to pump the brakes on too much. If anything, it's going to be more, let's manage the arms. And second half Stormers, until it's not real, is real. So that becomes another factor in it too. Hagerstown, they've started to level off 5 and 5 in their last 10. Kind of encouraging. Maybe they bring that same energy. They could kind of be like Staten Island was last year, where it's like not going to make the playoffs more than likely, but they can definitely be a thorn in your side. They can play spoiler.
Yeah, they can ruin your last weekend of the season.
Exactly. So all of a sudden it starts becoming a lot more complicated. I don't know how much South Division play they have, but there's 4 teams in that division that aren't a pushover. And then there's Lexington. And so, I guess the overall point of that whole, symphony of madness was it can get late very early if you're Long Island and you don't start to take care of business.
Right.
And so that's more or less my point here, is that you have to take care of it now so it doesn't spiral, because the schedule is not going to do you any favors. You got that 1 6-game window and you better make it count, or you better find a way to beat York. Those are really the 2 options at the moment.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that.
Yep.
And you can't count on the second half. Sorry, I was going to say, you can't sit there and be like, well, second half will really start to push, because, dude, like, it comes cool. Like, the second half on you, and then all of a sudden, you're a week in the second half, and hey, that's 10% of the way into the second half. Like, don't bet on that. It happens too fast.
Yeah. And where are your reinforcements coming from in the second half?
Exactly.
It's hard to find them. So, with that said, on that note, what else in the Atlantic League do we want to get to?
Let's take a look. I will say.
Yeah. Whilst you're looking, I do want to point out Cito Culver.
Yes.
Finally getting that back going. Goes with great defense there. Very happy to see him turning around. Wish the team was better, but he's getting it together. So that's a positive there.
16 for 39 week.
Yeah.
16 hits this week. Damn.
Oh, good week.
That'll work.
Good week.
They did have 8 games this week, by the way. Hagerstown stayed busy, why don't you?
Yeah. And some catchers are getting together with Cole Cottom and Brooks going ahead and putting it together there too. Like to see that. Like, as I said a second ago, catcher offense is a huge plus. So if your catcher can become one of your better contributors in a good way, then you could really get your offense firing up.
Gotta say, Rusper Estrada's still getting after it, by the way. 3 home runs this week for Charleston. Cito, it's good to see getting him going. DeShields look good this week for Charleston. With York, I mean, Cotto, Welker, both of them killing it in the middle lineup. Some of it has been who they're playing, but a lot of it's just been they're really good. I mean, let me see. God, Mazeka got a 4 home run week for Gastonia this week too. Woo, Harmon. Good
and
God.
MLP power.
Honestly. I mean, other than that, and looking at people who probably need to get it going a little bit, I mean, a lot of it. I mean, Manuel Giraldo, though, I've been seeing him bounce around this league for a while. I mean, he's there for the glove as long as he's moving, but I don't know. DJ Burt kind of off to a weird start here, especially this week. That's something to watch if you're. I'm really interested in like the guys who aren't going yet as much for Gastonia and High Point, like or who are struggling right now because I don't know. They have guys who are doing well, but it's going to be those guys who step up or who aren't there right now, delivering and we'll have to get with it. So that's kind of what's interesting to me. But yeah, that's it. I mean, there's not too much really to discuss because really there's still not many unexpected parties involved.
Yeah.
Staten Island, kind of unexpected, but we did sort of see them being better. Gastonia, High Point, and then Charleston is the third, and South is not unreasonable. I mean, that's probably what we would have predicted.
Yeah.
And then it is what I predicted, actually. But then, I mean, York with Long Island, Lancaster, and Hagerstown lagging, I mean, that kind of tracks. So if we're a little shortchanging the Atlantic League after that long American Association discussion, that's probably why.
They really shouldn't even complain. They don't really get the benefit of that long.
They do,
segment, so they don't have anything to complain about. Also, if you want to see a fun spray chart and just a fun stat line in general, Anthony Brancato is so fun to watch. He, like, low key, I kind of want to put him in the running for that dude award, that Boy Nice award.
Tough week,
but I still like him.
2 homers, grounded 3 double plays, 15 strikeouts. Have a weird week then, my guy.
T2 for home runs, though. Leading the way in RBIs. Yeah. We're not going to look at the batting average. That's not important. We're not going to look at the strikeout numbers because those don't matter. And outs and out, right? So,
sure.
Let's just look at the positives.
All right, I'm fine with that. That's good. I'm pro positivity at this point.
Also, low key, Stan. I just want like one last thing here before we move on to the Frontier League. Unless we want to just throw a total curveball in here and talk about the Pioneer League instead, but. Looking quickly at Staten Island's pitching staff. I want to say, are they as good as I think they are? Chris Capuano is nice.
Yeah. Let's see.
He feels like he's consistently underrated.
Yeah, right? No, that's a good observation.
Like, you always talk about, like, oh, these guys are good, these guys are good. Chris Capuano is really solid. He may be in contention for my own personal pitcher of the year. I really like Chris Capuano. Now, there's a couple of the guys I like a little bit better, but I do like him a lot.
Interesting. Let me see. I've got, I like Leisure has been pitching well. That was the one that caught my eye this past week or two.
He's been nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Reitz, he had a good start today. He needed that because he's been getting hit. But if he gets a little bit more like he did today, then Staten Island could be really solid here.
Yeah. Going length is kind of his issue, though. He doesn't go long. Either it's good or it's bad. And when it's bad, it's really bad. But one positive is he doesn't walk guys.
True.
He really doesn't. And I don't know. And maybe this could be a better question for the number of people to answer. But Is it just a matter of he's concerned about hitting the strike zone too much? And as a result, he's like, I'm not going to give him free passes, I'm not giving him free passes. And then that kind of makes him easier to pop.
Yeah, probably catching too much of the plate a little bit, right? Because if you're not afraid to throw a ball, if you miss a little bit into the zone, you're touching, some gray area. If you're over the heart, if you're trying to really hit corners all day, but like on the strike side and not throwing balls. And also then you can kind of just, guys get in go mode and just they can kind of commit on swings more than they might.
Yeah, because I'm also looking here against like opponent slugging right here. And it seems like the bad starts, they're teeing off on him. So kind of, and like the fact he doesn't go long, even in the good starts, about 6 innings. I wonder if that's just more or less, okay, we can't let guys see him a third time around because if they see him a third time around, it's going to get bad real quick. Or if it's a matter of he throws hard and he throws in the zone. So when you catch a hard thrown ball in the zone, it's going to go.
Yeah, so just get some base swings off too, because guys are ready to get that swing off, and so it even increases the chance more. Yeah,
so especially, and I wonder what his pitch mix is.
That's it. I would love to know that. Not having that data, because I was going to say, I mean, I could really see it too if it's something where
it's only like a 3-pitch mix or 4-pitch mix.
Yeah, or
then it's just sitting on a pitch.
Yeah, and if I'd be surprised if he either wasn't throwing anything with late movement or throwing something late movement but not enough. And it's just guys can sit back knowing that's probably going to end up in the zone and just absolutely handle some of these.
Exactly. Then it's like, what's his moving pitch? That's what I want to know. Right. Is it something that actually moves, or is it more or less just a glorified fastball that moves?
I mean, he's getting Ks, so
that's what I'm thinking. He's probably throwing hard, he's probably going right at the zone, and it's probably just, my plan is to overpower you. And the thing is, it works until it doesn't. Because look at the teams that got him.
I mean,
it really is everyone but Lancaster, come to think of it. But
true. Which Lancaster's offense, by the way, is something to watch, because that is, it just ain't there.
But yeah, he is just that. Ritz is just one guy here where I'd love to know more about him, because he's a very interesting pitcher. Allegretti too is also a solid bullpen guy.
Yeah, no,
nice Brooklyn
he's
boy.
Really had a couple outings where it's like, damn, dude.
Yeah, roughed up in the last 2 outings, but before that, just automatic.
Yeah, hopefully that's just a sort of blip on the radar. Maybe he needs a reset.
I mean, in fairness too, the York outing, he went 3 1/3. So like,
right.
More than he should be. He seems more like a 1-2 inning guy. Big Tyler Clippard energy from him.
Wow, well, that's exciting. Tyler Clippard.
I say that in the nicest way, because Tyler Clippard is one of my favorite pitchers, despite being national. He just gives you some big Tyler, and realistic. Like any of the things that's not positive, go back to Baseball Reference and search Tyler Clippard and look at Tyler Clippard from like 2011 to like 2016.
I believe we played some more games with him, and we were both kind of like, all right, Tyler.
Yeah, because Tyler Clippard does not get enough respect for how good he is. I mean, hell, he's a middle reliever that made the All-Star game.
Yes, that's also true.
That's just a lot.
Yep. You don't got to convince me. I'm with you.
I didn't realize he pitched 5 innings in 2022. 16-year career, Tyler Clippard. Hell of a player. Any case, Frontier League?
Yeah.
Congrats to Zach Westcott for setting the league strikeout record.
Oh, yeah. What's got?
Yeah, 540 strikeouts in his career. And I did the moment of the week on him. So head over to Indy Ball Pod on Instagram, or Indy Ball Report on Instagram, rather, my mistake, to check out that moment. I'm going to eventually get around to putting them up on the website, but that's just going to be a one afternoon where I actually focus on cleaning things up. So, yeah. Did get it though, so congrats to him. Do want to acknowledge that dude that's been just grinding in Indy Ball in general, but especially the Frontier League for a good while. So gets rewarded with that one.
Yeah. All right.
It's a shame we lost though.
Do we think the Boulders are legit, or are they playing bad teams?
Okay, going to start in the East. All right, gotcha. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I remember from the preview, I like this team. I think they are greatly helped by their opponents here. I mean, I hate to play that card, that often as we have this episode, but like they are playing some real dog doo-doo teams.
That's just going to come up more often at the beginning of the season when it's easy, where some teams have only played good teams and some haven't.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You don't lose 4 games in 16 if you're not a good team. That being said, if you're playing good teams, it's a lot harder to beat 12 good teams here. I mean, their losses were opening day to New Jersey, the first game of the series against Three Rivers, the middle set against Three Rivers in Canada, and then on Tuesday, a 5-1 loss to Sussex. Their wins have been 1 against Sussex, a sweep of New England, 2 of 3 from Three Rivers, a sweep of New Jersey, 1 over Three Rivers at home. They got rained out for the third part of that. And then a 2 of 3 from New Jersey.
Yeah. So, you know, not the most exciting mix.
Yeah, a lot of middle of the pack guys, although Three Rivers is coming around. They're second in the division. I think 4-game heater?
I think so.
I can't remember if it's 4 or 5. It is 4. 500 in their last time. So, from that perspective, right now we have a battle of Quebec in the wildcard game. That could be kind of fun. But that's still way too early. Even though we are like an eighth way through, that's not even worth acknowledging yet. But still, I would say it's a little bit of both. I mean, I still respect the 750 winning percentage no matter what. But let's wait until we start getting into it here. Sure. I think that's going to be the problem that we have with the East for pretty much the whole way here. It's just, when are they legit? When are they not? How much of it is just playing good opponents? And how much of it is playing bad opponents, right? The Quebec series could be interesting to me. Sussex, I think, has the ability to play them hard. Tri-City is what they are going to be. Same thing with Ottawa. Then they have Joliet. Going to try to get up there. I'm thinking that Friday games where I'm going to try to get out there for.
Okay.
But in any case, they got that for Father's Day weekend. Then they have New Jersey, New England, a just random tossing game against New Jersey. That's weird how that is.
They love doing that, man.
Yeah, that's an odd one there, but whatever. Then if that's what, that got to be All-Star time. Yeah, it's coming out of the All-Star break. They have 1 home game. That's even okay. This is annoying me now. This is dumb. Assuming that's the All-Star break, which I actually don't think it is because it's in.
No,
it can't be. Because it's in June. What is this? They play on the 23rd, then nothing for 24, 25, or 26.
Looking at June.
Yeah, look at June 23rd. Last game against New England. It's a Sunday. They don't play the Monday. They don't play the Tuesday. They don't play the Wednesday. They play 1 game at home on Thursday against the Jackals. And then they have a 3-game set in Quebec before they come back home.
That's weird.
That's
so
annoying.
Expect them to go out west.
Yeah, I hate that. I
hate
everything
about weird scheduling. I feel like they give teams too much leeway on some things, and they just kind of go wild.
Exactly. I don't like that. Quebec for 3, then Three Rivers for 3, then Florence, then Quebec, then Sussex and Three Rivers, then Ottawa. Realistically, we're assuming Quebec stays the current pace, which is a bad assumption, but one nonetheless. First real test is end of July at Washington.
True. Now, do I truly believe that? No. I think every Quebec series is a true test for both Quebec and them.
Yeah. And really, that's the only thing I see here. It's pretty much just division the rest of the way.
Yeah, I could kind of feel that.
Yeah. I mean, the minor series could turn out to be something, but as of right now, man, the schedule is very, very suspect.
Well, it is, but is it? Because, like, look at the division. Like,
I just mean the grand scheme.
You take a New England series seriously? No. Ottawa, not really. New Jersey, not really. Sussex, sure. And it's like Tri-City,
not really.
Results. So, like, I mean, that's half the division where you're not really sure what to make of the series, and we're not really sure which Trois-Rivières is.
Yeah. Like, is this just a result of good?
Are like, it's Quebec, but they're under 500. So, I think it's just a squishy division, dude. I think the West is funny because it's the opposite, where you got 4 teams over 500, and then you got like Joliet still hanging around, Evansville, who was just in the championship underneath, Windy City, who keep showing that they might be really good, and then all of a sudden they drop 4 in a row. But like, it's interesting, and also High Florence. Sorry,
but
naming every team in the division except Florence. Sorry, it's rude.
Targeting Rhodey there.
Yeah, a little. That's tough.
Yeah, I do want to just wrap up the East point on one thing.
Sure, sorry.
I think our like the whole discourse between like Quebec and Sussex are like this, but New Jersey and Ottawa are like this, and meanwhile there's a half game between them.
Yeah, but
like I get why. I mean, the roster construction and the ability and potential, because we're still in the potential phase for like another week or two. It means more right now than what we think out of New Jersey and Ottawa. But it's just still kind of fun.
But also, if you look at who New Jersey's beating, they are beating Ottawa. Their wins are against Ottawa, New England, and then New England, and one against Sussex.
Well, who's Ottawa's wins against?
New York. Oh, God.
New England, Sussex, Tri-City.
Yeah.
Three Rivers.
These teams are all just beating each other. Because anytime they play New York, they get beat.
That's the thing. Like right now, there's 7 teams here that are part of a crab bucket.
Yes.
That may be the title of this episode, the crab bucket. Because everybody just keeps falling each other down. No one can get ahead. Meanwhile, New York just keeps just like cruising past them all, just like bunk, bunk, bunk.
I mean, sure. I don't know what to make of that whole analogy, but I'll go with it.
Well, you're familiar with the crab bucket analogy, right?
Yeah, I feel you.
Same energy there.
Okay, hey, as I said, I'll allow it.
All right. As far as the West goes, though, I do agree. It's like the opposite, where it's like 2 teams are not good, 2 teams are kind of mid, and then 4 teams are fighting for the division lead.
Yes, that's fair.
Half this division is good, and that's the thing. Like, is Evansville really that bad, or is it just like, hey, look at who you're playing?
A slow start plus some good teams to play against. Yeah.
I mean, like, they hasn't been easy. I mean, they got swept by Washington, who's one of the best teams in the league.
Yes.
I mean, they lost, 2 or 3 to Gateway, one of the best teams in the league. A 22 loss to Florence is not good, though, boys.
Florence will do that to you, though, because remember they did it to Quebec to open the year. It's one of those ones where it's like, Florence putting up 3 touchdowns. It is, if I did nickel for every time Florence with 3 touchdowns, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing. Like, if they can just kind of survive the next 4 games, Evansville this is,
yeah,
I think they have a chance, because then you have Lake Erie, which won't be easy, but if you could take 2 of 3, or at least stay competitive in it, you can stay afloat. Then you have 3 against Florence, 3 against Tri-City, 3 against Sussex. You have a 9-game stretch that where if you can win 6, you're right back in the middle of things. Because then Schaumburg and Windy City and Joliet, and then Windy City and then Joliet and then New England. That then becomes a stretch where you could do some damage.
Yeah. I mean, and that's essentially, I think the team, this goes for both divisions now, and this is just going to be saying the obvious, so maybe it's a sign that we should be ready to move on soon. But my take is that whoever wins both divisions, it's not going to be necessarily the team that beats their closest opponents the most. It will be the team that most consistently handles the lesser teams. And maybe it's trauma being a Phillies fan and watching them absolutely get whipped up on by the Marlins for like multiple years while they're in playoff races. But
Marlins will do that to you, though.
They'll do that to you. I hate it.
How many Mets? I've watched too many Met seasons end because the Marlins decided, well, we're just going to try today.
What if we ruined everything?
Yeah.
So
we need our 2,000 fans to be happy for once.
But I do sincerely, and it seems overblown, but yeah, you play, let's say your 2 closest opponents, you'll play maybe 18 times during the year, your close opponents in the division. That is obviously a huge thing when in the end, when you win by a game or 2 in the standings. However, for the most part, they're going to be close to splitting those. It's really going to come down to what you do with the other 70 plus games against teams that are probably below you in talent. So it makes more sense that way, hopefully, or it all makes sense, honestly, because it was not that bold of a take to say, hey, if you beat bad teams, you'll probably win the division.
No, see, like, I understand what you're getting at, though, because it's like, look, you got to beat up on the lesser opponents when everybody's kind of even.
Right. Yeah. Like, you're going to come out close to even against the good teams, so you might as well go hard against the not so even teams. Yeah. Good work, everybody. We revolutionized baseball.
Yeah. And I will go ahead and wrap up Frontier League talk for now, which I do want to point out Ambruser for Windy City and Bradwell for Quebec. Phenomenal start so far in the pitching side. Very encouraging. I think the Bobby Jenks effect is starting to take hold in Windy City, and I hope he stays there for multiple years, because I think maybe not this year, because partially the division's not, shaping up well for them, we'll put it. I do think they still have an outside shot at it, but it's not shaping up well as of right now. I think they're on a 2 or 3 year plan. They really could do something special in that 2 or 3 year window. Happy for that. Quebec, nice to see you have one reliable arm for right now. And also David Vinsky, I think, is a guy we're going to start talking about a lot more, because he is putting up runs, and that is the name of the game.
Yes.
24 RBI, 5 home runs.
For me, I mean, I'd like to shout out a bunch of people, but we've probably taken too long, and we're going to have a couple just Frontier League deep dives at some point, because I don't see how we don't. But I will give the quick shout out to Ryan Sandberg for Quebec, who is at a point with me where when I see he pitches, I go back to watch it. So he finally just had a bad outing today. So I'm actually eager to go back and watch what happened here. But leading into today, he had oh my God, what was that ERA? I just wrote it down. It was a 0.69 ERA in 13 innings of relief, 17 strikeouts, only allowing 3 hits over those 13 innings, no homers. It was fantastic. Like, he was just working, dude. So that included 7 innings. How many? Hold on. Yeah, that last inning and 2/3, he's now allowed 4 runs on 5 hits. So before that was 9, 11, 12 and a third, allowing just 2 hits and no runs. So I'm interested to see. He's been getting used more. He's being used for like multiple innings at a time, like 2 or 3 days in advance, which I think has been really interesting strategy. So I don't know what the plan is. Is it just trying to get him signed out real quick by spotlighting him a bunch? But just as bold. I mean, that was my compliment, but also my concern. He threw 3 innings, and then he did 5 days later come back and throw 1 inning. And it was 2 days later through 3 innings, then 3 days later through 3 1/3, and then was back again 3 days later for another 2 innings. And then made an appearance 2 days later for 2/3 of an inning. That's when he gave up a run. And then 3 days later, an inning, and that's when he had a bad outing tonight. So I don't know. Maybe he's just getting worn. I don't know much about the full background on him, but it was a guy who every time I watched him, I was like, damn, all right. Like, I was pretty excited about, and enough that I was like seeking him out. So yeah, I mean, he's thrown a good number of innings in the past. It's just not really, I mean, he was a starter last year with mixed results, but anyway, I digress. But it has been an interesting thing to watch. Hopefully he's good, and hopefully they're not wearing him down too much.
All right. I want to backtrack to 1 second here before we go forward to the Pioneer League to wrap the show. And this is a Tyler Clipper point.
Oh.
From 2009 until 2021, pretty much every full season he had. We're excluding his rookie year with the Yankees there. Outside that, every year he threw 20 or more innings.
Yeah.
If you combine that, doing the little pitching stats for 09 to 21, he had a 3.01 ERA in 830 innings out of the bullpen, mainly as a middle reliever and setup man. ERA plus was a 137, and you can tell me if this number is good, because FIP is still something I don't quite grasp and don't particularly care to grasp.
Sure.
A 3.75 FIP.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Really good.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I don't think we put enough respect in Tyler Clipper's name, despite him being a 2-time All-Star. And if anyone has access to a Tyler Clippard Team USA jersey or Met jersey, I'd be very interested in talking to you about buying that.
How about that?
On that note, let's talk about the Pioneer League.
Yeah,
Glacier's won 6 in a row. What's up with that?
I mean, it's also a caveat. I don't know how much we're going to say on this league because it is so still new this year.
Yeah, there's 5 teams that are really above everybody else too right now. Again, we're 8 games in, so 8 of 96 doesn't mean much. Yeah,
but that is, I didn't see that Glacier won again. Yeah. So there's 6 in a row.
6 in a row.
Oakland lost again. Yola won. That was yesterday, I think.
Yeah. Which YOLO, do you see the thing from, I think it was yesterday? They got to play games with no fans.
Interesting, man. I don't know what to make of that.
I hate to rag on them, but I do wonder what the deal is with that.
Oakland tonight. And I will say it. Last episode, I was like, I think they're going to have trouble after their first couple pitchers. They just got dropped 27-11 by Rocky Mountain. And they missed the extra point. And that's after winning 21-15 yesterday.
Broncos 27, Raiders 11.
Glacier's offense is not that impressive, so holding them to 6-3 is not really notable.
But see what Whitmore did today. Ooh.
No. Huh?
Take a look at that one.
Oh no. I'm bracing myself for this.
And still not the worst pitcher.
I mean, good God.
I mean, like, legitimately, though, like, you could say,
here's the thing, Aaron, what you need. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, like, worst pitcher on Oakland today, and I know this was really just like a kick them all the down segment, but I'm going to do it quickly because I think it could be fun. Aaron Eden, 7 runs in 2 1/3. Reed Butts, 5 1/3. Or Whitmore with 6 in 1 inning. Or I will also throw up Brian Williams. There he was in a helicopter over Baghdad. With a 4-run in 2/3 innings.
I mean, I'm just sitting on the.
Gotta be Butts, right?
They give up 13 extra base hits.
How many were home runs?
2. Brett Carson and Stephen Wilmer both had 3 doubles today.
Admittedly, though, one of those home runs was a moonshot.
Oh my God, I gotta check the metrics on
5-11.
that. I don't necessarily believe that, but holy crap!
Hey, you might. It's Colorado though. Thin air.
Wait, who did he hit that off of? Who was that?
Hold on. It's like you say, it's like Mad Max. Everyone rushing to the cars.
Rocky Mountain led this game 21-0 in the 5th.
Steven Rivas.
Okay.
Yeah, he hit it 3rd inning.
3rd inning.
He extended the lead to 4-0.
That was off of Butts, I guess.
Oh
no. Wait.
No, it would have had to been Butts.
It was off of
4th.
I think. Did you say it was the 4th or the 3rd?
I said 3rd. Yeah, 3rd. So it had to be either off of Eden or Burden. No, it had to be Eden.
It was off of Eden. Yeah. Wow.
Came and walked into, gave up a hit, and then got 2 outs. To get
okay,
out.
So here's the thing, and here's where this is got to be nerve-wracking, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing. This is, as we know, a painful, yet not necessarily fully unusual part of the Pioneer League. Things get crazy. There's more pitching talent there's more hitting talent than there is pitching talent, and it is a run-friendly environment across many of these ballparks, specifically Rocky Mountain. Now, here's the issue if you're Oakland. This show shows up to Oakland very soon. Night 1
sold out opening day.
This can't happen. You can't give up 21 in 5 innings and have people be like, this is fine. This is quality. This can compete. It's going to be I've said, I think most of the focus is going to kind of need to be being legitimate off the field, but like, I did not expect necessarily 21 runs to nothing in the 5th inning. This is worse than expected. I did think they had one of the worst pitching staffs for sure, but like, this is something. This looks like a staff built by somebody who has and I'm looking at the coaching side, friends.
Also, 11
maybe a lack of Pioneer League experience and a bit of optimism that shouldn't be there.
I will also say that's not the first time they've blown up here. I mean, against Glacier, they had a 3rd inning that gave up 11 runs.
The night before, they gave up 9 runs in the first inning. They just happened to come back.
There's a lot of explosive innings here, which admittedly is prone to happen here in the Pioneer.
Bigger thing. So here's the go-to again. The bigger one is they also didn't score any runs in the first 5 innings. So let's take a moment to give flowers to Carlos Lamelli, by the way. He went 6 innings, 2 runs allowed, 7 hits, 2 Ks. So
solid
great
work
outing from him. But this is the second game in a row now where their starter has gotten rocked. They were putting up runs on the bullpen. Now Rocky Mountain's bullpen is notably squishy, but their runs today were garbage time runs for sure. And all 21 of those, I'm looking at it. I mean, they scored in every inning. Oakland did the night before, but Rocky Mountain's bullpen has allowed 14 yesterday and then another 11 today. So 25 runs in 2 games off the Rocky Mountain bullpen. That said, I mean, they've put up 7 runs in 8 innings against Rocky Mountain's bullpen, which by Pioneer League standards or against starters for Rocky Mountain, which by Pioneer League standards is not great. And it's kind of like, you really are beating up softer, the underbelly, which is fine. Again, you can kind of do that, but
yeah,
you can't keep
going through here. I mean, yeah, like I'm just going through Oakland's past few games, and they're really tearing through their pitching.
Yes, they are.
That's what's concerning me. I mean, like Abraham De Leon on Tuesday night, really, I think is the encapsulation of it all. You don't record an out, you give 7 runs, granted only 3 earned, which in and of itself is concerning to me.
Head shake, yes.
But that's an encapsulation of the problem. Now Connor Richardson has to come in and give you 4 innings, which is either going to screw up your rotation or screw up your bullpen management, because now Zach St. Pierre, who got rocked a few days earlier, has got to come in to relieve Richardson, who gives up 4 and 4. But you can't really complain about him giving up 4 and 4 because, well, he kind of got pressed into duty sooner than he thought he would ever have to. Then St. Pierre comes in, gives up a run an inning essentially, and then Davis has to come in and just, I don't care about 1 run in the Pioneer League. I really could not care less. So it just messes with one thing, and then when you have that happen, it's not that surprising that a 27 piece gets dropped on you the next day when it's like, okay, we have 4 guys that can't pitch. And then you burn through what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pitches.
I mean, right now, and I mean, I need to look a little closer to see how many of them were actually position players, but it is a little bit like, now you're behind, and here's your problem. Here's where the issue becomes more of a thing. Now your recruiting base seems to be California for the most part.
Yeah, it has to be.
Now you still have 4 more games in Rocky Mountain with against the same team in the same ballpark. They have seen everybody, by the way, now. So there is no surprise. You might have a starter show up that catches them off guard. So now you're going to need to continue to deal with that absolute nightmare that you're dealing with currently, while still having, as I'm looking for, Rocky Mountain, by the way, came into this series. Well, I guess they were in the runs per game situation. They weren't that bad off because they only played a few games. But the big issue for Oakland is they're only scoring like 6 runs per game, if I'm honest, 6 or 7. And that is like second worst in the league. But they're going to be worn out from that. And then they have to go to Yolo, who's scoring over 10 a game right now, though that's going to dip below 10 because they're in a sudden pitcher's duel, by the way, in Grand Junction tonight. But that is opening night in Oakland is Yolo.
That's the thing.
Who
has want to have those arms available.
4 games as of our recording, and they've scored 10 or more in 3 of them. Now tonight we'll call it 5. And we'll say they're 3 for 5, scoring 10 or more runs. I'm going to say in their 4 games against Grand Junction coming up, they're probably going to do it at least 2 more times. So they're going to be rolling. And that YOLO pitching staff ain't bad. They've had more rest than everybody because of their weird schedule, but they've had 7, 7, 5, 8, and now 2 runs allowed. 3 runs allowed, I guess. Maybe 2.
From a baseball side, they're getting by. Not great,
YOLO
but getting by.
Is a decent team. And they have a good offense, above average offense. So
and they've had that weird whole thing with the lights so far. So it's really,
we have all of our
messes with you.
concerns again about Oakland, but like I didn't even take into account that the first night that people show up, they might watch you give up 3 touchdowns. Oh my. That could be bad.
Here's the thing, like, I asked this genuinely here. At what point in the next 4 Rocky Mountain games do you just wave a white flag for one of them? Because I see, like, the Sunday game, obviously, it's an early game. And then you have the whole Monday off as your travel day. But you got to assume it's like, okay, whoever's going to be going on Sunday, you're taking one for the team. You're taking on the chin because we need as many arms as we can for Tuesday. Because I got to imagine the order coming from up top is you got to win Tuesday.
What are the odds that we see a current Rocky Mountain Vibe pitcher pitch for them at the end of the series? That's 1. 2 is
moderately high.
Let me go over to their schedule real quick. I somehow closed it out like a fool that I am. Oakland, there we go. So 6:35 tomorrow. Okay. So conspiracy Ryan, and this we'll see how it ages because this is all going to take place between the episode airing and this being said. They have 2 6:35 games coming up.
Okay.
Both days rather in Colorado Springs, there is rain in the forecast from about 10% to about 45% in the 6 to 3 hours before the game. What do you want to bet you with that there's a questionable rain out here? The catch your breath game gifted to the new guy. I could see it too.
I could definitely see it just because it's like there's a
and
lot
this
riding on
an
this for the
accusation,
league.
by the way. I'm not even, wouldn't even, I mean, I'd be like, hey, I see you. But also, I wouldn't be like, oh, bad things happening. I'd be like, yeah, probably. Yeah, you might want to do that. Hell, if
many people are saying
Rocky Mountain, your bullpen just gave up 25 runs in 2 games. I would consider as well maybe having the day off if there's a little bit of rain.
about to call up the
it
Colorado
doesn't
School
play
of Mines for
making-
some arms.
It starts raining at 1. We're calling it 2. You know, I could see it. I know you don't like to do that opening home stand, but they've been home for a while now. Just saying, it's possible.
It's definitely one of those moves where if it happens, if you're Rocky Mountain, you look to the league and go, you owe us for this.
Yeah, I mean, agreed.
This is a handshake move.
I'll see that player to be named later deal coming.
I didn't realize how much they play Rocky Mountain to start the year. They got that nice, like, 6, and then
they're going to regret, dude.
And then YOLO. That's a weird,
Yeah.
and then that's actually kind of a tough schedule for them off the gate. Off the hop, this is going to get bad.
It's what do you mean? It is already bad. This is a mess.
Yeah, but see, like, we're still in the we could pull up and save this ship mode.
Right.
I don't think we're going to be in that for as long as we hope.
I am mildly surprised that they didn't work Boise into one of these things, mainly because, my theory would have been an early season series against Boise would have made some sense because Boise's travel is probably it's not bad. It's probably the most reasonable or one of the most reasonable ones. But Boise, friends, also plays maybe the most reasonable and call it to the outside world presentable games in the Pioneer League consistently. Over the past 2 years, they're always bottom 3 in runs scored and bottom 3 in runs allowed. It is the closest thing you have to normal. And if I'm worried about how people, perceive this first interaction with this Oakland team, I'm a little surprised that they don't have a bunch of Boise games on the docket early.
I wonder how much Boise had to say saying we don't want that.
I don't think that this idea is overly popular in Boise, though I'm not comfortable saying why I think that.
Unless I'm looking at Boise, I think they're very happy to have Grand Junction.
Ooh, yeah, dude. Go off, King.
Yeah, Grand Junction, that in-state rival.
Though they did take an L today. Interesting.
Bad L.
Bad L. Bad L. I don't know why that's funny. It's something about when you no-show the third game of a series that should be a sweep of a bad team. That's the perfect time if you're just someone shows up. Bad L. It's a bad L.
It's interesting though, but yeah, just general looking elsewhere so that we don't. I've spent a lot of time dunking on Oakland, but whatever.
It's not dunking, just being concerned. Just like
being concerned.
Well, because we've said it before, like we've kind of made fun of Oakland, but or not Oakland. We pointed to things that seem to be issues, but it's because we want to do well. I'm worried about it. Like I want this to do well. I'm looking at the current setup, and it doesn't look like a setup for success over these first, call it 1, 2, 3 games, specifically game 1. God, I hope they're going with a strong starter.
Look, it just has to go well in production wraps.
Jesus, dude. Not bad though. Oh man! And by the way, if I'm Boise, who has put up a good chunk of runs against bullpens this year, bummed. Just lost that game in 6 innings. Oh well. No.
Who's the bum that lost to Ogden?
What scrub got clipped by the Raptors? That's so uncalled for.
Oh, it was Northern Colorado in 7.
Oh, that's facts.
Second half of a doubleheader.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, you get a pass for now.
I'll allow it.
For now.
I know everybody's goes to me for permission to operate.
I'll allow it with a Z for now.
Hate it. Anywho, where are we?
You don't understand you don't understand how much I want Northern Colorado to win the Pioneer League Championship this year, solely so that way I can make that episode title Champions with a Z.
Oh, yeah. There. No, I no notes. Love it. Good Lord. Let's get this episode rolling. Where are we? Are we still in Pioneer League? Did you have anything else to add?
I don't have too much else. It's so early that it's hard to really say anything else. Northern Colorado is a happy surprise. Same thing with Boise so far. Glacier, happy to see them doing well. Missoula and Billings, you're better than you're better than this. Keep winning games.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you played 4 games or less, or you have less than 3 wins. So get out of my face.
It's aggressive. Let's see.
Get good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to get too far in the shouts because some guys, I mean, have like a 5 for 6 day with a couple jacks and like their numbers are completely inflated. So I'm just going to let it ride for now. But yeah, it's kind of where I'm at, man.
Yeah. Only other thing I guess of note is I just want to make sure that this is still a true fact here. Cole Lee, who has pitched a surprisingly decent amount of innings so far. Call it, what we got here, 5 2/3, 6 2/3, 7 1/3 innings, has a 0 ERA.
Damn.
For a two-way player, honestly, a 0 ERA in this league is very impressive.
Yeah,
especially on a Grand Junction team that is not exactly winning a lot of games.
No, not.
And by that I mean they've won 1 game, so technically none. So, but he's listed. I will say the reason I call him a two-way player is he's listed as an outfielder / lefty pitcher. I don't think he's taken an at bat yet.
Oh,
so disappointing. Womp womp. But in fact, he is. Okay, that's never mind.
Well, yeah, that's depressing. Well, now I'm sad. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to end the show. Sad, like everybody else.
Want to do a little mid cup?
We can do a little bit of a mid cup. Give a taste of that.
All right, let's do it. We'll do Atlantic League first, and we'll see if we want to keep rolling. Mid cup, of course, the concept, as everybody would know because we've done it, never. Is we will take a look at the standings. We will quickly try to agree upon who would be classified currently as mid, and then we will see who do we think escapes mid, whether above or below. For me, I don't know. What do you think? I'm saying top of the mid category is like Charleston right now, maybe Staten Island. I don't know.
I think both of them escape it a little bit.
Okay, so they're not mid currently.
Not currently. I think they're good enough to just.
So Long Island has to be because they're 500.
Yes, they are mid.
All right, Southern Maryland.
I'm just pulling up the standings real quick so I can see it. Yeah,
that would basically say Hagerstown, Lexington's below right now, and then Lancaster, Southern Maryland, and Long Island are mid. So
I would go Long Island, Lancaster, and Southern Maryland is mid. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do we think any of them escape the? Does anybody beat the mid allegations one way or another by the end of this year?
Not by this time next week.
Well, what about are we talking year? Are we talking week?
I feel like week to week is the way to go on this. I mean,
Oh
at the end
God!
of the
Oh, are
year,
we
I
doing
mean,
this every week? Good Lord. Okay.
we don't have to do it every week. It could be a
We'll just
monthly
call it the
check-in.
regular segment called "Beat the Mid Allegations."
Big mid energy.
Amazing. I don't think any of them do it soon. I think the most likely to do it
Long Island
is Long Island. I think the most likely to, I don't know. I don't think any of them are really going to completely collapse. I mean, that's bold to say Lancaster's a game better than Hagerstown right now, but.
Well, I mean, 2 games, but yeah.
Right. That's right. I'm sorry. They did play a game today. All right. So we're going to say those 3 are classified as mid, and we don't really see any of them going anywhere too fast.
Yeah. We'll check back in a month.
We're cruising. Look at us. Who says we can't just do anything concisely? Though that does remind me.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, we're the 2017 Bridgeport Bluefish mid.
Don't get me started on this. I've ranked every Atlantic team already. All right, American Association. Where are we drawing the line here? I'll let you go toward the standings too. I think
lordy,
Gary is below.
Yes, Gary's safely below.
Okay.
Lincoln, I say safely below.
Okay.
Just because that 2-8 stretch, man, not good.
Sioux City.
There are 8 on the edge. I'll call them mid for now because that 500 record. But
so we'll say bottom line of mid is Sioux City.
Exactly. They're holding at the bottom. They're Atlas right now.
All right. And then what about Winnipeg, Lake Country?
Winnipeg mid, definitely mid.
Yes, agreed. I feel like Lake Country's mid.
Very mid, yes.
Okay. There we go.
Milwaukee, Chicago's where it gets interesting.
I know. And I was even looking at Kane County.
Kane's better than mid.
I think Cleburne is too. So, all right. So basically Chicago and Milwaukee are the last 2 that we're considering here.
Yeah. Everyone else has 11 wins and is within a game or either tied or within half a game of their division lead. So,
Chicago got swept by a team that we've already classified as mid. That's what I'm struggling with.
I mean, that got to make them mid, no?
Right?
Yeah.
Now, does that also classify Milwaukee, though?
Yeah. Same record.
I guess.
500 EPA violations. Yeah.
Yeah. I will allow the mid allegations to hit there. All right.
Legitimate. They may beat them, but it's legitimate for right now.
Do we think any of them in the near future break out? And
near future being a month from now?
Yes. Okay. We'll give a month.
Yeah, I think that's the fairest way of doing this.
A monthly mid allegations, but we can do it at the end of every month. Okay. It's a plan. The monthly mid allegations. Okay. I think Sioux City might drop below. I've really been unimpressed by how it's been going.
I can see that. Winnipeg, I think, go either way.
They're not scoring, but they're also giving up runs. I don't understand what happened.
Yeah. Not good. That's what happened.
You see Winnipeg?
Winnipeg, I can see dropping, and I can also see them going up. We talked earlier about how good that pitching staff is as a whole, and that alone can really carry. They just need one person to show up to hit.
Yes, and I'm not sold that they will. That's why I'm not sure they'll overperform it, but I could see them sitting around mid. I could see a balance for carrying forward. Lake Country, I think they'll hold for now, but I think they're precarious. Okay,
Very
and
much
Chicago is most likely, I think, to escalate above mid, but I still don't think it's.
Here's the points I'll make on that. I could see Lake Country staying there unless Josh Altman starts performing like he does. If he can raise his batting average 40 points, and all of a sudden they're not mid, because that's a huge difference there, and he's not performing. On the flip side, that I could see Chicago dropping below mid if Narcisco Crook gets picked up or just drops off, because currently he's a madman. And also, I might get his first name right, Lejano, Jesus Lejano. If he, comes back down to earth, which I don't think he will. I actually am impressed with him. I like what he did in Tri-City too. But if he comes back down to earth, all of a sudden you're really running out of bats quick. So and I don't think Crook getting picked up by say LMB is a crazy thought either.
That's a really good point. Actually, I wasn't taking that into account. Good point.
Because look at the rest of that lineup.
Yes, you're very right. I'm looking at Chicago here. My thing with Chicago is if you're looking at where they're getting their wins from, 3 against Gary, 2 against Sioux City, 1 against Winnipeg, 2 more against Sioux City. And then now they got pumped today, a 10-1 loss to Cleburne. But hey, it's a morning game on the road, a little weird.
Bad coffee cup vibes.
Bad coffee cup vibes for sure. That was the first coffee cup game. Oh no, it wasn't. They're now 1-2. Anywho, but they got 4 more against Cleburne, dude. If they can't get that straightened out, then they got to go. Oh, they're at home. Sorry, that's an 80 moment. They probably should have done better. But if they can't take a couple from Cleburne, they then got to go to Milwaukee after this, which not fun. So that'll be interesting. Something to watch. Now, if they do perform well these next couple games, Milwaukee also is not that intimidating. And then it's King County, who we're not sure about, Lincoln, and King County again, and Sioux Falls, which now that's a conversation. But they can go on a little run here. So yeah, this is a big few weeks.
Yeah.
I think something's going to happen. I'm not sure we're calling them mid this time next month, but
Milwaukee, I think the same thing here because Jose Sarmo's back there now, so that's going to be a huge plus. That whole loan situation, I have no idea what to make of it. I really, really don't. It's very confusing.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, but they still have some.
Part of me is there either between the teams. Well, my first instinct is like, do the teams have a weird custody arrangement going on? He's yours on every other weekend.
Any case, I think Milwaukee could beat the mid allegations. They have 2 really strong stars right now. Depending on what they do with Rodriguez, maybe 3. Bullpen overall looks strong. I would like to see Minier get his act together and pitch more like the Lincoln Minier and less like, this Minier. Also, Rodrigo Ben, yeah, so he may be coming around. If he can come around, that's 4 nice starters, and that's a huge plus. Also, and Barone, what are we doing? Why is Rodrigo Benoit starting games? Let's get that nonsense out of here. He's a bullpen arm.
I mean, it does seem to be in an attempt to get him signed, which I'm not one to fight.
Oh yeah,
but I also am like, how long will the experiment go? Like, how long can you justify it? Yeah. So that's also tough.
Also, can we do something here with these Juan Echeverria starts?
That's something's got to give there.
What are we doing here, boys?
So I'm always surprised now at this point. It's become a recurring thing.
He's a 2-inning man.
Well, but
there's no shame in that.
I'm not sure. Is he supposed to be an opener? But like, it's not like it's working out. So I don't know, man.
I don't think so, dude.
I don't think so either.
Any case, so those are the mid teams here.
All right, let's hop Frontier League, and then it's too soon on Pioneer, I think.
Yeah, too soon for that. While I'm pulling up the Frontier League stats, I did in that chaos pull up the 2017 Bridgeport Bluefish team. Can certify not mid 76 and 64 on the season. They were tied with Lancaster for the best record, and they lost the first half to Somerset after going 41-29. Somerset beat them by playing 2 more games. Won 1 more and lost 1 fewer. So they lost by 1 game there, despite Bridgeport finishing the half on a 4-game winning streak. And then they finished 500 in the second half, thus missing the postseason.
I got theories on that. That's a different conversation for a different day.
Bridgeport again. Yes. Finish your thought.
No, I don't need to dive into that right now. It's a whole other
I'm curious on what it was, so...
there's a couple seasons cited where not making up a game has potentially cost a division, and that was also being cited as reasoning for a certain game where a field was lit on fire. So I always wonder.
Well, curious nonetheless. In any case, Bridgeport may, in the history of the Atlantic League, be the team most screwed by the 2F system.
So, heartbreak.
A couple times that happened to them, but. Any event, mid teams in the Frontier League.
Frontier. Okay. I think we're comfortable saying, it's tough immediately.
Let's start in the West.
Okay. I can give you that.
Maybe easier.
Yeah, because my thing is Evansville. It's easy to say they're below mid, but I'm also like, I'm more sold on them being mid than Florence.
Fair. Their penalty is playing 2 extra games.
Yeah.
I don't think either one's mid right now, though.
Yeah. Okay, I can get on board with that.
I think Evansville could have the possibility to, a month from now, be above mid, if not mid.
One day you too could be above being mid.
He says to the team that just made the championship series and pushed Quebec to the brink. Right. Not more than 6 months ago. Not
baseball is cruel, and so is this podcast.
Yes, it is, because neither ever end. But Joliet mid.
Man, yeah. I think yes, and I think Windy City fits right in there as well.
These B managers,
Jesus, look, man, trying to stay out of that situation.
Like the lead drummer for the San Antonio Express will appreciate that.
Such a good band name.
It is. He won an award recently for that too. Congrats to Mike Pinto for winning that award.
I love a well-named podcast or band or whatever. That's an ongoing thing, but I will shout out. I stumbled into a podcast that's firmly about the utilities industry, like power lines, called Along Those Lines. Tremendous work. I was like, damn, dude, like legitimately almost annoyed by how good the band name or the pod name was. I was like, all right. Anywho.
In any case, Windy City, they mid. I think they are.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oregon that was when putting that in danger.
Mid, I was like, that team is. Oh yeah, they could very easily be below mid, but at this moment, they're mid.
Now the rest of the division, that all practically speaking has the same record.
Yeah, I would say they're all above mid at the moment.
Yeah, for now. Lake Erie, the big surprise there.
Yeah, agreed. And I also think the most vulnerable to falling into the mid conversation.
Certainly. Boulder's above mid, clearly. They clear easy.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
New England, they slide under the bar clearly, easily. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I literally think every other team could be mid right now, except maybe Quebec.
Tri-City, I think, is below, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. For now,
but yeah, I'd be willing. I'll put it like this. I was just thinking about it. I was like, if they didn't beat Ottawa today, but I'm like, yeah, but that's the point.
So I think
Tri-City, Ottawa, New Jersey.
Non-official definition, I almost have them ahead of a mid team, is if you're looking at the typical 3-game series, a below mid team is attempting to win a game. Above mid team is attempting a sweep. The mid team is just looking for one of the middle results. Like very unlikely they get swept. Very unlikely they sweep. So realistically, they're hoping they win 2 out of 3. Like that is, if that's your team, you're probably got a mid team on your hands. Is that fair? Like, I mean, that's not a rule in my head, but that's kind of where I'm trying to ballpark it.
This is like a weird Jeff Foxworthy bit there.
Thank you.
I was like, if you're going into a series hoping to win 2 out of 3, you're probably a mid team. You're walking into the ballpark going, oh Lord, I need to win at least 1. And if we get 2, thank you, Jesus. You're probably a mid team.
If you're looking at a team we just called mid and thinking, hey, we're about as good as them, they ain't mid, then you're also probably mid.
If you look at the schedule and go, damn, they called them mid, they're pretty good. I got news for you, fella. You're a mid team.
They're mid? God, they just took 2 out of 3 from us. Well, buddy, welcome to mid. Welcome to Club Mid.
Oh my God.
Club Mid could be an episode title, but you do you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the mid conversation it rolls in Windy City, Joliet. Do we think Florence was below?
Yeah, they're below.
Okay. Then the Jackals, were they below?
I don't think they're below. I think they're right where they need to be.
Mid. Are we saying Sussex?
Oh man, Sussex is a tight one.
What about Quebec?
God.
Where were we on Quebec?
Quebec, I'm going to put them above right now, but admittedly, that's mostly on reputation.
That's fair. Yeah.
They've earned the leeway.
They've earned not being mid. Okay. Sussex is questionable, and Trois-Rivières.
Trois is a tough one, too. I mean,
I know. If we're talking about what you get assigned on reputation.
Oh, yeah. Reputation, they should be below mid.
But, right. But they're bad.
Here's the problem. I'm looking at you. Oh, Kyle Richardson step up again. Ooh, that's actually. I wish I would have seen this during the Frontier League talk. Between Agresti and Richards, that could be something that is developing on who's going to be the starting catcher there.
Okay.
5 games versus 13, but I mean, that's numbers are a pretty stark difference, with the sole exception being slugging. But I will watch that carefully because Agresti. I'm going to throw this out as the last point, and I don't mean to derail the topic, but I do want to throw this out here. Grass season is last year before he's a vet, and Rich is only he's in his pro 1 year, technically rookie season, out of Caldwell University. Go Cougars. But
Go Cougs.
yeah, Cougs Central. But the difference here is in 5 games, Richards is hitting about 50 points better. His on base is nearly, actually, it is about 200 points better, just under that. And like, he's not hitting for as much power, but he's getting on base more. He's only played 5 games versus Agresti's 13. But I will say this much: if you get into a position where you're Sussex, where you are firmly in the mid camp and not making the postseason or don't like your odds, Agresti's probably the kind of guy that if a team needs a more veteran catcher that has the potential to add some offense, but is a staple force behind the plate, he's an attractive trade
Move
piece.
them before you're giving them away.
Exactly. And Richards, I feel like, could step in. And if a rookie has a good year this year, my God, having a control over a rookie catcher for 3 more years, that sounds very nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, I follow.
I think that could be a storyline to watch. Now, again, very early, but something there.
I mean, they're also kind of struggling to find a consistent DH, so there is a spot around.
Fair enough, but you got to hit to be a DH.
Sorry, John. John Mead's not hitting.
John Mead has 2 home runs, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, 190. Get him away.
Thank you. Yeah, that's Jesus. All right.
I was really hoping John Mead and Evan Giordano would do well. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think we had
two.
I remember that conversation too. I felt the same.
Corey Acton's doing good though, so good for him. Any case, this is derailing the mid conversation.
Yes, it is.
I'm looking at this team. I am seeing a mid team. Unfortunately,
yes, I agree.
I don't take any pleasure in reporting it, sir. I have no pleasure in reporting, but they caught a case of the mid.
The worst.
It could be fatal. We don't know yet. We need to run more tests. And Jose Ledesma Jr. needs to get his act together, along with Mark Montclair here, which wasn't he a reliever last year? Oh, experienced too. That's why he's a starter.
Hold on. Focusing. Trois-Rivières, Sussex, Ottawa, Tri-City, Windy City, Joliet. That's what I have as mid right now.
Let me do one final check on them. Trois.
Okay.
You can continue your point. I'll say if I have
my point was more, I think Trois-Rivières is probably fine. And Sussex is probably fine to not drop below mid. I would say Tri-City's in danger. I think Joliet will probably hang around. I think Windy City is in danger as well until they end this little stretch they're on. Those are kind of the indicators I see. I don't really see any. I mean, I could also see Sussex make a run. I could see them completely collapse. I can say that for a few teams. I can see Joliet do the same thing.
I will say this. Upon a further review,
okay,
I am willing to give, possibly against my better judgment, Three Rivers the benefit of the doubt and say they're not mid. They have some good bullpen arms, and Osman Gutierrez and Tucker Smith are a nice 1-2 punch in the start of the rotation. Now, Logan Hoffman, Indy Vargas, gentlemen, need more out of you.
Buddy, they dropped Hoffman, 2 out of 3 to New England.
Boys, I'm trying to gas you up right now. I really am, but you're not helping, right? Like that and the 2 veterans not performing is not helping the case here. And it's like
it's sounding pretty mid because they not only lost 2 out of 3 in New England, but they also went 3 out of 5, 1-2 out of 5 against the Boulders. This is sounding an awful lot like a splitting series type of team. 2 out of 3 versus Sussex.
Damn them.
Took 2 from Windy City. Would not be surprised if they lose tomorrow. Maybe the mid allegations rest on Windy City, the Windy City game.
Oh my God! And they were the definition of a mid team. Oh God!
I agree.
Oh God, they are mid. Oh God! Like here's the problem too. Like I want to explain why, but going like, look, they're mostly 1st and 2nd year pitchers. But then I'm like, it doesn't matter though. What they are is what their record says they are, and they do look like they're mid. Oh God, their pitching actually is pretty bad. Not gonna lie here.
I know that's a real concern.
Yeah, I mean. Rakowski is actually pretty decent. Same thing with Mejia. Holt Quinn is also not bad. They have some bullpen guys, I should say. They have bullpen pieces. But, like, what the hell is the bottom three in this rotation? Figure it out, boys.
Yeah, I figured it out. It's so aggressive. But
Figure it out, boys. Someone's got to step up and say, I'm the definitive number 3 starter. I can deal with 2 bad starters. I can't deal with 3.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that may be what puts me over the edge and call him mid. Yeah. So I'll call him mid.
All right. Well, I don't really see, who do you see anybody moving out of that category from this group?
Yeah, maybe 3 Rivers, maybe 3 Rivers and Sussex. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I have some faith in them, but admittedly,
nice.
Yeah, I was happy with myself. I don't have high hopes.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So, neat little mid segment. Gave me an episode title.
Hey, man, I'm happy I could contribute something to this weird show.
So, are we going with big mid energy as the title?
I feel like that's about there.
We're stuck in the middle.
Don't forget your middens. I'm stupid.
We'll work mid into this thing.
That'll be great.
Also, Oakland's trending on Twitter.
Oh, God. Can't be good.
I think it's the A's.
Thank God.
Although I do have some Oakland Ballers stuff on my feed.
Jesus.
Oh,
I'm
God.
trying. I'm literally trying not to like pump a bunch of negativity into the world on them. Like I'm purposefully not tweeting much about their mess. Like I tweeted about that line swear from yesterday, but I didn't name them. I'm trying to give them every benefit while also not cutting them too many breaks for.
I'll say this much: the Ramundi renovations, because they do have a flyover from April 5th to now.
Mm-hmm.
It does look a lot better. That being said, though, with the warehouses, especially with the giant bee, the bee is kind of cool and it is a nice like go team type thing. But it does give such big backyard baseball vibes.
No, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. 100%.
Please,
that was my
find
first
someone
thought.
named Pablo Sanchez and sign him.
Get after it, dude. Meanwhile, at Ekman Acres.
All right, cool. I think we can do plugs and leave now.
Surely.
Nice little 2-hour, 20-minute long episode.
Good God, how do we do that? There wasn't even much to talk about.
I'm telling you, every episode's going to go about 2 hours.
We suck. We're great.
People like them, though.
Yeah, it's wild. That is quite the audience we have. I love that. Oh, man. All right. Indy Ball Nation, kind of whatever, wherever. I have like multiple videos in the works, but I keep getting sidetracked by my long-term projects because I am not good at seeing something through all the way to the end without getting distracted and working on something else. So sorry about that. But videos will be dropping soon, hopefully, on short-term stuff, and also soon, hopefully, on long-term stuff. And if not, then, I don't know, check on me, maybe.
Fair enough. Indy Ball Pod on Twitter and Indy Ball Report everywhere else, putting up some cool Instagram posts for those. Cool kids.
Yeah, man, get better with the graphics, bro.
Yeah. The graphics, I think, are stepping up.
The one signing graphic he made with the dude, like, was he in a cowboy hat or something? That's fantastic.
From Lexington. Oh
yeah.
Oh, I couldn't find a good picture of him, so I
would argue you did.
That was the best picture I could find. Oh God.
Which teams you can headshots on your websites, please?
Oh, I try to avoid headshots. Right. Anyway, so yes, cool graphics and stuff. Cooking some things right now. Wait and see. Either the apartment will burn down, or it'll be a delicious Thanksgiving dinner. Because that's probably when they'll come out. But Indy Ball Report or Indy Ball Pod, you'll find us there. Look forward to the coffee cup. Look forward to the mid-off. But until next time, don't forget to play ball.